this week and next week and finals, and hopefully a lot of you will be exempt from finals. I'd love for all you to be exempt, but got some work to do if everyone's going to be exempt. Because I mean, we got to have all your assignments in. You got to have no more than 4 absences in here, no more than 4 absences in advisory, and you have to have a 75% in the class to be able to be exempt. If it's below 75, you have to take the finals. So, all right. Well, let's see. People got some programs turned in last week, so there's less missing programs. That's a wonderful thing. We're getting there. Most everybody got last week's assignment turned in. But let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at what we got this week. Since everybody's here, this won't take a very long time. But let's take a look at it. All right, let's go to our grade screen as usual to make sure we know what we have due this week. We scroll all the way down. 7.03 cyber attacks. And then next week we have defense mechanisms, and then there's nothing left but the final. So 2 assignments left for the whole semester. They're both right here. Cyber attacks, defense mechanisms. Let's take a look at the lesson that goes with this week. Cyber attacks. All right, so what's the difference between a passive and an active attack? Very good question. Some cyber criminals quietly attempt to gain access to valuable information like credit card numbers, usernames, passwords. These are known as passive attacks because they don't leave a trace that they were even there. Others, however, seek to cause havoc by seizing and destroying vital system resources. So, how do we recognize an active versus a passive attack? During active attacks, hackers have unauthorized access to private information or computer systems or networks. Often, the victims are immediately aware of the attack. How they do it? These attacks might involve viruses or malware or denial of service or password cracking. The attacker might even seek a ransom or want revenge from being fired from a job. Maybe it was someone that was working there. And that is an active attack. A passive attack tend to be more subtle. Here, the criminals gain access to confidential information. They avoid detection for as long as possible. They don't want you to know that they're in there. And from there, they typically sell this information on the dark web. How they do it? Passive attackers use untraceable accounts or public workstations with false credentials to cover their tracks. Some sophisticated attackers use internet service providers that specialize in offering anonymity to their users. Did you know script kiddies? A script kiddie, all kinds of interesting computer terms. Someone who uses hacker tools but doesn't really know what they're doing. And there's a lot of those out there. Script kiddie attacks might not have a specific target or goal except just to get attention. Technology has made it easier for script kiddies to obtain sophisticated tools capable of exploiting system vulnerabilities. This means even script kiddies can launch sophisticated cyber attacks because the necessary information is at their fingertips. It's important to remember that script kiddies can get into just as much trouble as a seasoned cyber criminal. So, some of these young hackers that don't really know what they're doing, they can get just as long of a criminal sentence if they're caught. Well, let's look at page 2. Insider versus outsider threats. So potential security threats lurk around every corner. A security professional's job is to recognize their job is to recognize and halt all threats. So let's look at the differences between the insider threats and the outsider threats. So insider threats, of course, come from within an organization, right? As opposed to the outsider, which are from those that are not associated with the organization. Insider threats include negligent or criminal employees. Maybe it's just someone that doesn't know what they're doing and they've exposed the company's information. It could include business partners, could include former employees who are trying to get revenge. Outsider threats come from cyber criminals, competitors, and hacktivists. Motives. Insiders are motivated by financial gain or personal revenge. Outsiders are motivated by financial gain or the thrill of causing all these problems. The methods. Insiders take advantage of employees who forgot to log out. They walk by, they see someone hadn't logged out, and then get on and cause some damage. It's harder to catch them. Or they can use credentials to obtain private information. Outsiders use social engineering, electronic data theft, the DDoS attacks, that's the denial of service, and malware. All right, knowledge check. Do you know the difference between a passive and active attack? How about an insider outsider? So we got a little quiz here. I'm going to open the chat where I can see this. A passive attacker leaves behind a trail. Is that true or false? As a rule. I mean, it's, Zachary's right on top of it. He says, nope, that's false. Let's see. That's correct, because they don't want anyone to know they try to make sure they slip in and out without anyone knowing. Doesn't always work, but that's, as a rule, passive attackers. An outside attacker already has ready access to company resources. True or false? Someone outside the organization. Zachary's on top of it again. Zachary's paying attention this morning. False. Right? They generally don't. They have to find a way to break into the network as a rule. Number 3. An insider attack could come from a current or past employee who has access to system resources. Yeah, it's an insider, right? It could be someone in your own network that is getting there and causing problems. True. And our last question here. Active attacks tend to involve viruses, malware, denial of service, or password cracking. Was that an active attack or was that a passive attack? Zachary says this one's true. Correct. Good job, Zachary. You're going to do well on the quiz at the end of the lesson there. All right. Everything is at risk. Boy, ain't that the truth. Discover how hardware, software, data, and networks are all susceptible to cyber attacks. Let's look at software. Software is often the number one target when it comes to attacks because the programs, whatever program you're running as your network, it's critical to perform those routine software updates. It gets so annoying because it's like, I just updated it. Now it's wanting to do another update. Well, that's because they found another problem that hackers can take advantage of. You got to install those security patches. Criminals often hijack outdated applications that have not been updated to steal or cause damage. Software could be your internet browser, outdated antivirus software, general applications, utilities, even your operating system. Hardware. While software tends to be targeted the most, hardware is also vulnerable. Older PCs, laptops, and notebooks don't have the built-in security features. They might not have the latest firmware, and firmware is defined as permanent software that's programmed into a read-only memory. Or self-encrypting hard drives. These features don't prevent threats and attacks 100% of the time, but they improve the security of business and personal computers. Examples of hardware include your CPU, your central processing unit, a random access memory or RAM, and hard drives. So that could all lead to hackers being able to get in there. Data. Sensitive data like credit card numbers, social security numbers, or passwords are all very alluring to cyber criminals. Data that hasn't been encrypted is a common target. What do cyber criminals do with the data they steal? They either exploit the data for profit, or they sell it on the dark web. So the dark web is a big marketplace for criminals looking to buy and sell personal information. Cyber criminals want to exploit routers and unmanaged computers connected to private networks. So by doing so, they can freeze the entire company and government assets remotely. They can get into your network asset access. Network equipment is always considered susceptible. This is where routers and firewalls must be used to deter cyber criminals from entering private networks. All right, let's look at page 5. The CIA triad. Now, this is not the Central Intelligence Agency you might think of, like the FBI and the CIA. No, we're talking about something different. Data protection is serious business. So, what can be done to make sure business and organizations have proper safeguards? So, there's something called the CIA triad. This stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That's what the CIA talks about: confidentiality, integrity, availability. Maybe a quiz question on that. Sounds like a good quiz thing. The CIA triad is a security resource created for businesses and organizations to guide their IT security practices. So let's see. Let's learn about confidentiality. That's a set of rules that limit access to certain information. These rules prevent sensitive information from landing in the wrong hands. Some of that can be very simple. Like if you log into an account, maybe you have an account at Kohl's, you shouldn't be able to access other customers' personal information when you log into the website. So that's very simple. Sensitive information should only be to people that need to access it. Integrity. That ensures that online information is trustworthy and accurate. Any data that moves around the internet can be changed, and this can pose problems for those who depend on its reliability. And then availability ensures that the data is available and accessible to satisfy your business needs. Availability focuses on basic hardware, allowing other areas of online security to run smoothly without interruption. So that is the CIA triad that they discuss. Implementing the CIA triad. Confidentiality. This protects information through the use of passwords, account numbers, verification codes, other precautionary methods. There's several ways to ensure the confidentiality of data. However, the most widely used is cryptography. And let's click the definition. The study of secure communication techniques that allows only the sender and intended recipient of a message to view its contents. So cryptography has been around for hundreds of years, before computers were a thing here. In fact, the Pigpen cipher has been used to enjoy secret messages throughout history. In its most basic form, plain text is converted into ciphertext, which is unreadable for humans. Here, try for yourself. Can you decode the cipher's key? So this is in Pigpen cipher. So you have these. Let's see if I click on that, does it make it? Oh, word one. Okay. This is in case you can't see that. You can click on that and get the text version. But see, this has like this funny sideways V with a little dot in the middle of it. So if you go down to the cipher, let's see. You got two tic-tac-toe boards and then these two big X's, right? So you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. It's got these little dots in it. And then you got S, T, U, V, and W, X, Y, Z. So you can use this cipher to send someone else a message. And so you say, okay, so this is the V with a dot on this side. So that should be an X, right? Because that is the V with the little dot in it. Then you've got this square with a dot in it. So that should be an M. You have this shape here, which would be this part of this tic-tac-toe board. So that's an A. Then you have this tic-tac-toe board that has a dot in it. So that's an R. The dot, K, and just the V, S. X marks, that's probably the spot, you think? Did you crack the code? But yeah, that's just a really cool little Pigpen cipher. You can send it just like that. You write your alphabet out like that and put letters in that code. So X marks the spot is what you would crack the message to be there. Pretty neat. You can study that and use that with your friends. Have your own way to get messages without anyone else reading it. Integrity. Integrity can be protected using several methods. Regular backups, time stamping, and electronic signatures. Let's see, time stamping. That's the current time of an event that's recorded by a computer. When it sends something, it stamps what time it sends it. It saves something, anything like that. Electronic signatures, a legal way to consent or approval on electronic documents and forms. That's used a lot in business. When you're not in the same building, you can send it and have them sign it electronically. Cybersecurity experts also use hashing algorithms. That's a function that converts a data string into a numeric string of fixed length. The output string is generally much smaller than the original data. Hashing algorithms, certificates, digital signatures, and non-repudiation to check the integrity. Non-repudiation is the assurance that someone cannot deny something. All right. Availability is implemented using data backup, patching, and redundant systems. Redundancy guarantees fault tolerance. This means when a primary system fails, the secondary system is available to continue delivery of functions and services. So the bottom line is the CIA triad looks different depending on who is using the system. It's because different organizations have different policies. For example, a school might have different data protection requirements than a manufacturing company might. However, each should have the same interest in ensuring data is secure against attack or damage. So that is the end of the lesson. So make sure you complete the reading and understand it, and then complete the quiz. Let's look at our quiz for this week. What describes a passive attack? What's the best description of an inside security threat? Which security feature helps to deter cybercriminals from targeting hardware? Which security model is used to guide business organization IT security practice? What is cryptography? So we have 5 questions this week. Not bad. Not bad. So, all right. I'm enjoying this little walk through cybersecurity here at the end of the program because it's an important thing. There's all the time people trying to break in and steal information. I've had it happen every week, all the time. I have people trying to get into my information. In fact, I had an email this last week, and you probably see these emails all the time. Let me see. I could pull this email up here. Let me show you this. Or was it a text? Well, I had a really interesting texting thing last week. Have you heard of, and I'm sure you have, you've heard of catfishing, right? Catfishing is a term that's used out there. That's when someone basically sends you a text by mistake, right? A lot of times. And then, oh, sorry, it's a mistake. Then they try and befriend you, and they may spend a week or two trying to be friends with you. And it's usually all false information. It's usually some dude in his computer in Nigeria or something, but he's acting like he's this woman in Virginia or something, right? They're trying to make friends with you. And after they get to be friends, they'll say, oh man, I'm in a spot. I need $50 or something. And they'll make this great reason where you got a friendship with them now. I'll send you some money. And then they just start more and more and more trying to get money from you. So I had that happen last week. Of course, I'm aware of this whole thing. I'm very big on all these cyber criminals. But I got this text. Oh yeah, there we go. And here, I'll just show you how long this texting went, because they really try to get friends. I got this text here, and as you can see, they kept trying. Every time I'd say something to end the conversation, look, they even sent me a picture of supposedly this woman, and this went on for like 5 hours. Kept trying to get more and more information from me, acting like they're trying to be my friend. Went on forever. But I got this text that started out just saying, hey, Alice said you have a warehouse for rent. Is it still there? You know, obviously that's not for me. So I just replied and said, Alice lied, just because I like messing around with these folks. And it says, oh, what lies did she tell? I said, well, there's that warehouse for rent thing that you mentioned. But anyway, I looked up the phone number it was texting me, and it was supposedly a hot dog cart in Columbus, Georgia. And I told her, I said, aren't you a hot dog company? No, I'm not a hot dog company. I import and export medical supplies. I'm in San Jose, out in California. Well, turns out she was on a Google phone number, because you can get the Google phone numbers that are not really your number. So she was on that, and the Google voice, and she went on and trying to make friends with me and saying, hey, I'd like to, I'm sorry, I've texted you by mistake. I checked with Alice. She was driving and typed the wrong phone number. I should ask what phone number Alice had, because it probably is not even close for some guy named Mark. And it went on with her saying, I'm sorry, I texted you, my mistake. I'd love to buy you some coffee sometime if we were close together. And I'm like, I'm halfway across the country in Arkansas. I'm not even there. Oh, I've never been to that city. Can you tell me about it? And I'm like, yeah. And she's saying she's from Singapore and only been in the U.S. for four months. Thought Arkansas was a city, probably knows better. And I said, no, it's a state. I said, lots of outdoor activities, fishing and hunting and all that. Says, oh, I love fishing. That's when she sent me the picture of the woman holding a fish. I caught this when I fishing. Do you like to fish to relax? And trying to get to know me. And went for 5 hours. And finally, after 5 hours, she says, oh, what do you do as an occupation? And I said, me? Oh, I work for the FBI investigating online scams and fraud. And that pretty much ended the conversation. And I had sent, she was wanting me to send pictures. Hey, can we exchange pictures? Well, I went and found a link of a picture of Jay Leno from Wikipedia. And I sent her a picture of Jay Leno, but I went to Grabify.com or Bracket. I think they may not be .com, but anyway, if you go to Grabify, you can put a link in there and it creates a fake link. And when they click on it, it'll take them to the link you want, but it will grab their IP address and location. So I sent a picture of Leno and grabbed her IP address. And now it turns out they were using a VPN. So it was a fake, but it said they were in War Acres, Oklahoma. It's a suburb of Oklahoma City. And so I said, oh, okay. So this they're using a VPN, a virtual network, not a real IP address. But this whole conversation went on and on. And, I said, yeah, I investigate scams and fraud. And they went, well, cool. You have a really great job. I believe you catch a lot of scammers. And I said, yep, I'm working on one now that's pretending to be in War Acres, Oklahoma. And they said, hope everything goes well for you, and never said another thing. They quickly jumped out of the conversation, never sent me another message because they knew I was on to them, knew they were a fake. They weren't in War Acres, Oklahoma, or they were, and now they're really scared because now I, busted on that. But yeah, just being aware that these things happen. And it happens a lot with, especially, she thought, oh, you must be a young man. I said, no, I'm old enough to be your daddy. Trust me. But they try to get a lot of teenagers and stuff. Hey, let's exchange pictures. And they try to make friends. In fact, there was just a case up in Minnesota, I believe, where a young man had sent pictures back and forth with this girl that he thought he was with. Turns out it was these two guys in Nigeria. But they finally got, hey, let's send some naked pictures. And he actually did it at like 12:30 in the morning. Had this conversation for hours, felt it was a friend, sent these pictures, and then they start saying, okay, give me $300 or I'm going to send this to your family and friends. I'm going to post this online. And started scamming. And he sent some money, but then they were demanding more money, and he ended up killing himself at like 3 o'clock in the morning for a conversation that just started that evening. And he got so freaked out, he killed himself. And I'm so proud of our government in this case. They tracked the IP address to Nigeria, actually worked with the Nigerian government, our government, and their government, went and got these guys and extradited them to the United States, and they're actually on trial. So that's really, sometimes when they're out of the country, it's really hard to even find out who they are. But the fact that they went and got these guys and brought them here and are being trial, you can look up that case about these Nigerian guys that are on trial for this. But that's what they try to do. They try to get you to send them money. If you won't send them money, then they try to exploit you somehow. They want to exchange pictures. And these are not cute young women or cute young guys that are trying to befriend you. They're scammers, usually in another country, and they're always faking who they are. They'll send you fake pictures. And you just got to be smart. You got to be aware and know that. So that's a part of cybersecurity, is just being aware and not making user mistakes and letting someone exploit you or get in your computer and all these crazy things. They send you those fake emails. They want you to click on something, so just be aware, pay attention, be skeptical. If there's somebody you don't know that's suddenly trying to befriend you, what's going on? Unless you can meet them in person, someone don't be jumping onto a big friendship with someone that just randomly, oops, I texted you by mistake. Crazy. All right, guys. 5-question quiz this week. If you're behind, get caught up. There's 2 weeks of class left. I'll be sending out exemptions next Friday. So any missing work, if you want to be exempt, needs to be turned in by next Thursday, because I'll be sending out exemptions to let you know who has to take the final, who doesn't have to take the final next week on Friday. So you need to have everything turned in by then if you want me to consider you for an exemption. And then again, no more than 4 absences in here or advisory and a grade of 75. So, all right. If you're missing work, good time to get it turned in. It's just a 5-question quiz this week and just a 5-question quiz next week. So I'll let you guys go. We'll see you next week or Wednesday. Friday is a B day, so we only have class Wednesday if you're below 70%. So, see you guys.